Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, your host, and today I'm joined joined uh, Mr. Mabs with me, I should say, to react to Everton's dismal defeat at home to West Ham, a spirited West Ham team who looked the business, but really Everton failed to turn up today and lay a glove on them.
Yeah, I mean, to say we had that game in the palm of our hands, not possession wise. I mean, the first 10, 20 minutes we were shocking. We gave them too much time on the ball, but the opportunities we had, we should have been not. If we put them to bed, then it would be a different story. But we didn't, and yeah, you can probably blame the corner, which I don't think it was. I've not seen it yet, but I just got home. But apparently, people saying it wasn't. Whatever.
Mm.
If we, despite that, if we put the chances to bed that we were actually creating on the break, then it would have been a different story. We're just not clinical enough. It feels something like Groundhog Day, but again, we're missing Richarlison, we're missing Buddy DCL. We just need them back. Rondon's not good enough.
No, Mabsy, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Unfortunately, really. Well, I'll start with the team actually, if that's okay with you. Do you think it was the right decision to bring Alex Iwobi back into the team? I mean, let's not try and fixate on his actual performance at this stage, but was it the right decision to drop Anthony Gordon, who was one of the bright sparks away at Old Trafford?
I mean, you've got to play your strongest team on paper, and again on paper, it was sadly Iwobi. He had been playing well up to this game. So again, I do feel sorry for Anthony Gordon. Yeah, but okay. So you make a mistake by putting Iwobi on, but why wasn't he transferred off, taken off? Then it's just frustrating to watch when you can see what is wrong. I mean, to be fair, he should have been taken off in the first 5 minutes, as far as I was concerned.
Yerry Mina missed out through injury, and in came Ben Godfrey. So it wasn't really too dissimilar overall to the sides that we'd started the season with, just missing those two main strikers, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. And I think there was a bit of negativity in the stadium immediately, wasn't there? Really, I think when those two weren't involved, we found out they were injured. A little bit of fear, perhaps, that the West Ham would be too strong for us, and I think ultimately what it's come down today is Jordan Pickford's lack of commanding. He doesn't command his box. They're saying it was a foul actually on him, Mabsy, and it wasn't to do with the deflection. It was a foul on him. What do you make of that situation?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the foul, so I don't know. But whatever, where's VAR looking at this then? If it was a foul, where's VAR? Suddenly every time that we score a goal, VAR fucking looks at it. But then suddenly
they're not allowed to get involved because they didn't score directly from that incident. They scored from the corner resulting from that, so they're not allowed to intervene.
Okay, but
the linesman could say something, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, the refereeing standard was absolutely atrocious today.
Agreed.
Absolutely atrocious. West Ham got everything. We got, again, same old story. Get fuck all.
I just want to touch on some of the chronological events of the game first and foremost, really. So West Ham came out, they were fully on top that first 15 minutes, and Everton really couldn't get the ball. And when they did, it was almost like they were quite unsettled. What do you think? What would you put that down to? Was it West Ham really just taking control, or was it Everton's nervousness, perhaps?
I think it's nervousness. I think that was a game plan. I think it was, to hit them on the break. But I think we were found out far too easily. And to be honest with you, we shouldn't be sitting back we're with the home team, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? We should be going at them.
Is that why the crowd's quiet? Because we're playing, to react and not to be on the front foot?
I think so. I think it's just like, the football. I'm not. I don't want this whole Rafa situation. I just think he just made an error today, but then didn't rectify it. As I say, Iwobi should have been on the pitch, as far as I was concerned. 15 minutes of him enough, get him off. Hold your hands up as a manager and say, well, yeah, this substitution's less too late.
He looked unfit, didn't he, in that first sort of period, and he didn't really settle too well. And Everton, I think, really struggled to get grip of what was going on, and West Ham in total control, as you'd say, for most of that first half. And then Everton, a little bit of a spell coming into it, perhaps, but it was pretty much a West Ham domination with Everton in that first half, creating, I think, 3 opportunities, one for Decore, which he headed, didn't really have the conviction, and then an Alex Iwobi sitter. There was a couple across the face of the box, which, if you've got a natural finisher there to a poacher, really, Everton could have gone in perhaps 1 or 2-0 up at half time.
Well, you look at that strike by Decore, just that the way he skied it into Rose Edge, it's just like so frustrating. I'm not having to go at him because he's a good player, but it's just frustrating. The Iwobi could have done a lot better. Should have done a lot better. You put that away.
All West Ham there, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was. Absolutely. I mean, we look like the away team. I've said it. I mean, it was like we were the away team.
But we did have the better of the chances, arguably, in that first half.
Yeah, we did. But again, we didn't capitalise on that. Didn't put them away. We weren't clinical enough. I mean, the quality we have, when DCL and Richarlison are out, there is just no creativity. Rondon is slow. I think David Basil said before, even if you're unfit, you can head the ball.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a technique. You're coached to head a ball, and he did have a couple of opportunities where he had headers, and they were just tame. It's almost like he doesn't want it. It took the goal to be scored to really, be motivated there. And we've got a comment coming from Dave. Hi, Dave. Hope you're well. He's saying, Iwobi and Rondon on the pitch, we might as well play with 9 men.
Yeah,
I think that's a sentiment that's been shared throughout social media, that it really was today. Certainly at times, like playing with 9 men, possibly even less. And there wasn't really the crowd even getting behind the players. And I just want to say about the West Ham fans, they don't sing about anything other than, they don't sing about their team, put it that way. They're only interested
horrible picking on people in the park and disgusting behaviour, to be honest with you. That was all they were singing about. About a certain player being, we won't go there.
No, they're right, really, and I think the situation that first half, total domination, and Everton's still on the cusp, perhaps just lacking that final 2 players, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. You'd say, and maybe if Everton had them on the pitch, would go in at half time, sneaking a 1 or a 2-0 so far. What do you think of that? Or am I being a little bit too optimistic in my thoughts?
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry, is this like
if Everton had those 2 strikers, would Everton have gone in at half time?
I think it's a different game. You know what though? I don't understand why Dobbin's not getting a game over Rondon. He's young. Okay, well, you know what? Yeah, he's young, but he'd give it half a chance like Rondon didn't.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point. I think the thing with Rondon is, and I said it to the gentleman I sit next to in the park, and Warren, he's a nice guy. If you're watching, Warren, I don't think you are, but it's a pleasure sitting next to you. And he said he is merely just a body there, and we've got him for potentially 3 years.
Crazy. I mean, crazy. We were speaking, in the stands as well, next to just below. Yeah, but I was saying that he's on 30 grand a week
for 3 years.
For 3 years potentially. But again, I just don't understand why he was desperate to join. He would have joined anyway. Just give him a year. But
he doesn't have the Mabs. I think you to play a Premier League striker, you've got to have, one of the following. You've got to be stronger than your defender. You've got to be quicker than your defender, or you've got to be sharper in speed of thought. And what I mean by that is anticipate where to be at the right times. And I don't think he possesses any of the 3, unfortunately. And that doesn't lend well to being a successful signing. I think Finn Kinch had said on Twitter that Calvert-Lewin has more chance of scoring than Rondon, and he's not even on the pitch. And I think that's a sentiment. And Dave's right here. If we did have Rodriguez, I think we would have won that game.
Don't go there, Dave.
Listen, I'm going to bring, just before we talk about that second half and other general things, bring in some of the comments. Is Johnny Roskin is saying Ron doesn't jump or try and win any ball, doesn't have any pace. Iwobi is boring to talk about with so many issues. Difference between Liverpool's 5-0 and our 1-0 loss is they have Firmino in the right place finishing a tap in, and Iwobi missed his chance. Yeah, he did. We were outpaced, outmuscled, and completely dominated. Extremely disappointing and frustrating. What do you make of that?
What can I say, Jonathan? I think talk about hitting the nail on the head. You know, we need you back coming on some lives back again, Jonathan, because definitely you're inside. I'm. What can I say to that? I can't argue with it, can I?
I mean, John, if you're watching, I can send you the link now if you want to come on and give us your thoughts about the game. I'll just drop you an email, and Mabsy will just tell us what he thought about whatever you want to say, Mabs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think, you know, we're going into, I think we've got, what's it, Watford, then it's Wolves, then Spurs, isn't it? Next few. So we need to we need to be winning the Watford and the Wolves game.
You have to hope that we get those two strikers back.
I mean, you have to. Is there any news on when DCL is back? Does anyone know? Or
I think surely they're being safe for the Watford game. Do you think at half time though today Everton should have made a change and switch? You talked about Lewis Dobbin, but he is a young man. Let's be honest here.
So what? At the end of the day, he's a footballer. He will take his chance. You know, Wayne Rooney started at 60. How old is Dobbin? What? He's got to be
18, I think.
18. So 18. You say, okay, so Wayne Rooney started his career at 16. You know what I mean? He had the whole pressure of the club when he was 16. You know, one club, us. So to say all these young lads, and you know what? They'd be a damn sight better than Rondon today. Rondon was woeful. It didn't run. He's got no pace. And there was a ball from Gray, and Rondon should be busting the guts to get exactly. Yeah, he just either, I don't know whether he just doesn't want to run, or he just hasn't got the.
Can't run.
He can't run. Doesn't have the pace. Well, you know, what good is that? I know he was brought in as only as a backup, but you know what? Tell you what, can't do much worse, can he? Than Rondon, Dobbin.
No, I know. The thing with Dobbin, though, he does play off the left, and you're trying to shoehorn players into a system. We do need someone who can play that centre forward role with a bit more of an instinctive striking instinct. You know,
okay,
Leon
so where's Rondon's instinctiveness then?
Well, I don't actually think Rondon possesses the instinctiveness you're talking about, in fairness.
Yeah, so why not? Why wouldn't you play the youth, play the lads? Play the lads is probably a blue. You know, passion, putting the blue shirt, you know, full crowd at Goodison, he'll play his socks off. Regardless if he's not a blue. But so you know what, regardless if he wasn't even the blue, regardless of putting that aside, you know, he would do, and you've got to blood him at some point. Why not? Do damn sight better than Rondon. I would have think he did. And they've not. He couldn't have done any worse, could he? Let's just face it.
No, I do share a lot of your sentiments, Mabs. The second half, though, Everton came out a little bit brighter, didn't they? And they seemed to want to take control. And I think the first 20 minutes or so, Everton were the better side comprehensively. And they moved the ball faster. And they looked to probe against a West Ham that have that solid base of midfield. They have box-to-box players and they have pace. They've pretty much got everything, all the credentials. It's just whether they can perhaps sign maybe a 20-goal-a-season striker and maybe improve.
Yeah. I thought, we had a fair chance. We did have a fair chance. And you know what? Second half, I thought at some point we could go on to just nick a goal and then hopefully just keep hold of it. Wasn't to be, obviously, but I just thought because the chances you were just getting that a little bit closer, but again, just weren't that accomplished in finishing, and that's a frustrating bit.
Mabs, I've got a special guest on and waiting in the background. Can I get a thumbs up if you're ready to join in?
Oh, not me. Okay,
you're already joined. I'm bringing in a long time follow Everton member and legend and guest is our friend Jonathan Roskin. Hi, John.
Hey, hi,
Oh, yeah.
John.
How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. You?
Disappointed to say the least.
Yeah, well, understandable, mate. Welcome back.
Thank you. I went into the shop before the game. Really excited. First game back since before COVID. Bought the away kit for 60 quid, and shame I took the label off. I should have done. I took the label off. It's just so disappointing that we were lacking. We were just outclassed by all of them. We had nothing going forward. We clearly missed Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, and we just don't have any squad depth. And obviously, they are two main players who have an important role in the squad. But without them, we're literally nothing.
Just on that, what you just said there about squad depth. I was waiting for Ryan and David to. I bumped into my mate. He got off a little bit earlier, and he said he'd seen Bill Kenwright going out of the ground. So he obviously left quite early. I was like, okay. And then apparently my mate was shouting at him. He put his window down and he just said, "We need more strikers. We need some in January." And then Bill just went like that and then just showed off. You know, apparently there's rumours 9 million. What the fuck's 9 million going to get you?
The wages saved maybe of Hammers. John, can I ask you, I mean, as a London Evertonian, you know, does it annoy you West Ham coming to Goodison? Because they're not really done anything of note for years and years. You've been a yo-yo club, not won anything. It's the first time in Europe in God knows how long. So you're frustrated that a team like West Ham is able to come to Goodison and put in sort of a decent enough performance, really. And let's not beat round the bush here. West Ham weren't amazing. They were just a well-oiled, a well-drilled, organised team. And Everton really failed in the key moments to stop. You know, we'll talk about that goal in a minute. But does it annoy you that they're able to come to Goodison and get a result being West Ham?
Don't get me wrong. West Ham didn't play awful, but they weren't the best either. They were just better than us, and we really should be putting in a better performance. I've got quite a few West Ham fans as friends, and I've never really viewed West Ham as a threat until recently. But this just proves that we need to up our game. We're lacking going forward. We just if we can't beat the likes of West Ham, how are we ever gonna perform when we come against the Big Six?
Yeah.
Can I also get your opinion on Tommy? Hiya, Tommy. Hope you're doing well, mate. Gordon got applauses off the pitch at Old Trafford drop today. Was that the wrong decision, really, to drop Anthony Gordon and bring in Iwobi? But
I would have brought Gordon on at half time. Iwobi needed to get off. He was doing nothing, and I would have taken. Again, we don't have the squad depth, but Rondon was. He may as well not be on the pitch. He was completely useless. Every time Coleman had a throw in, he'd throw the ball to Rondon, but he wouldn't jump or move or try and get in front of the other player, and would lose possession straight away.
They're direct rivals though now, West Ham, really. And you touch on a good point. Perhaps the start of last season, no one, certainly us in Liverpool, would have considered West Ham a threat at all. And maybe you hear a little bit more being based in London a lot of the time from your friends and saying to you about, you know, West Ham and get up the irons and all this. But really, we haven't perceived them as a team that could challenge or do an awful lot for a long time. And now they're looking really solid. And Dave's comment here, he's spot on. These are the teams we have to beat because we're competing with them for Europe. Do you think actually, though, the likes of beating the Watfords and those teams, you've got to just try and take the points off the teams below you and try and get a few? Because where are we as a club? Are we at this level? Can we compete for Europe, or are we?
Last season, we proved that we have the capability of beating the top 6 teams. We've done better than in a long, long time and come away with a lot of points from the top 6. But the reason why we haven't got anywhere is because we keep failing to the teams like West Ham or even lower, like Watford. And when we come up against them, we bottle it. So you can't expect to reach like Championship or European football when you can't beat the teams who we should absolutely be beating. Yeah, it's just very difficult.
Mabsy, it's a mentality issue at Everton, really. That they had the chance to go into the top 4 today, and looking ahead, you know, United dropped points, Brighton dropped points, Villa dropped points, and it was really a chance to go above Man City or level on with Man City. And it is a winnable fixture still, even without the 2 forwards. It really is, because you've got to have a crowd behind you. You've got to have players up for it, and really, it was very, very sedate inside Goodison Park. And Well, I don't know what my question was.
No. It was a very quiet Goodison. Yeah, absolutely. I just think they need to fuck off this car park or whatever, the changing rooms in the car park, because the teams are coming out like way too early, and then you're getting the music to Z cars. Like, you're like, what's going on? They're halfway on the pitch, and you got the sirens going off, and you're like, no, we need to get some normality back now, and I think that would get the fans a bit, because that was a bit, to me, a bit subdued.
Rush.
Yeah, rush, get the sirens and get Z cars on, but it's meant to be the sirens, and then they come out to Z cars, not halfway across the pitch, West Ham were.
Did you not notice the because some other teams are walking back through the same tunnel now. Did you not notice that outside the ground it was extremely chaotic before kickoff? I think it was 10 minutes to go.
So I kind of kicked off. I didn't kick off the shoot. I was like, there was the park end, and everyone was queuing up to get into the turnstiles. Now some turnstiles shut. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, they're all automated. So why was any of them? I thought then, well, maybe it was to do with the COVID passports. They're checking them again. No, it wasn't. I don't get why they were shut. They were people queuing. It's ridiculous. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, right? You get the flow through, get people in. Don't want to be queuing outside, and I don't get why there was queues all around the ground. That was in the main stand. The upper tier when I was walking past. It was ridiculous.
There are some logistical issues at the moment, certainly with tickets as well. The reprinting system. John, can I ask, where did you sit today?
Upper Bullens on the halfway line.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so you had the TV view, really. And what did you think of the incident with the goal then? Did you think Pickford had been fouled from where you were? Because initially we thought it was a deflection off Antonio, and it wasn't.
So did I. So I said I thought it should have been a goal kick. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to watch it back yet, but I thought it was a goal kick, which is why, understandably, everyone was giving the referee some. Who I thought had a shocker of a performance today. But anyway, and obviously that led to the goal in the end. But yeah, I didn't think it was a corner.
But they switch off, don't they, Mabs? And it's almost like they're too busy complaining about the corner, which can't be reversed to that point. And Ben Godfrey's beaten at at first sight, it looked like it'd gone in straight from the corner. But on reflection, it was Ben Godfrey getting out jumped by Ogbonna, of all people, at the near post. And it was a really poor goal to concede, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a shocking one too. You just didn't see it coming at all, and you're just like, for fuck's sake, it's us again. Typical Everton again. Yes, again. Just
this is a good point from Dave, isn't it? I mean, goalkeepers are trained to use their hands, and that's what they must practice all day, every day. Something they relish. You don't become a goalkeeper if you're not capable with your hands. He can reach. He's got the extra length. You're talking about 6 foot, so he's the same height as Antonio, and then he's got his arm. The potential, another 2 foot or something, and he can jump on top of that. And goalkeepers are meant to have the best leaps. And why can't he just punch that away? Why is that even becoming a situation? Or just grab the ball, and if you're fouled, you're fouled. And they're complaining of that it was actually a foul, not a deflection. But
and
VAR can't review that.
He fumbled one in the first half as well. He sort of dropped it, and we were lucky that no one capitalized on it. But it's these simple mistakes time and time again. And obviously, it's not like a new thing. This has happened for quite a few seasons now. Won't go into like the past case, but like when we were at Anfield, and he pulls it back in or just drops it. It's these simple errors which are costing us.
Pickford's 3
but
foot
also,
2.
Obviously, you can't go and say, oh well, we didn't have players X, Y, and Z, because you've got to deal with the situation. But I feel like it was a very lackluster performance where it's too loose, the passing. We're not really running and trying to win the ball. We're sort of just not doing anything with the 90 minutes. And we especially lack going forward, like the central. Antonio was sprinting forward right down the middle, and he looked threatening and dangerous. Whereas all we could do was pass the ball to the wing, try and send one in. And it just wasn't working for us. We missed our central attacking force. And it's cost us.
John, I think you make a great point. I'm going to hold that right there, because we will talk about that. And again, I want to talk about the tactics in a moment. And just what I said in the description, that Rafa was outclassed by Moyes. and bring you in on that if that's okay. But just very quickly going back to the goal, if you notice some of the corners, I mean, our corners were terrible and West Ham's were very threatening. When we were defending them, we did have someone on the post in the first half. Remember, I think Luca Dean would be on the back post, actually on the goal line. And then he took someone off the post for the goal. Do you think that was a bad decision? You should have someone on the post. If you're feeling vulnerable from the corner itself, if there's someone on that back post there, just on the line, they can boot it away or head it away. I think it's a massive missed opportunity there because we're without the Yerry Minas. We're out without, without Yerry Mina. We're without Calvert-Lewin and without Richarlison. I'm just very briefly pausing myself out this video for one moment, if that's okay.
Okay. Do you not also think, with regards to the corners, that there was no one actually stayed up front? They all went back.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that as well? It wasn't just me. Because, like, well, when you can't boot the ball up and then.
It's not just our corners were very poor, and when Gray whipped it in, the first one went straight to the keeper. It needs to have more of an in swing, but you need to if you're going to do that, you need to deliver it and start moving outwards so players can actually get a touch on it. And we had no threat coming forward, and it was a very frustrating game to watch.
No, absolutely. It's just like, typical bloody Everton performance, wasn't it? Really, let's face it. It's just frustrating to say the least. I just hope beyond hope that the both at least DCL's back for Watford. Hopefully, Charleston's not too far behind.
Yeah, I noticed during the first half, Gray and Iwobi switched sides, which I was happy to see. But Iwobi is just he's lacking in so many departments, and he'll win the ball and then he'll lose the ball, or he'll put one pass together and then have no shot. And he just always seems to never have the final step, which actually creates something. And he had two shots. One was deflected and then one went wide, but both of them were just, they weren't on target. They had no intention, but it was just, I would have definitely taken him off at halftime for Gordon, giving him more of a chance. But
have you noticed that we're not blooding the youngsters still? And it's like, it seems like to me that it's mistake after mistake after mistake. Well, we can't afford to buy at the moment. Okay, well, yeah, whatever, that. But then we'll give the youngsters in your academy a go. What's the use of having an academy if we're not
going to use
not use them and thinking, well, we're short in here. We'll put them on the bench, fine, by all means, but fucking play them. Like Dobbin should have, again, Rondon offered nothing. I'm not saying that he would have, I'm not saying that, but it would have been Dobbin's chance to have a go and, play freely. The fans wouldn't be on his back. The fans would be made up. It's a bit more refreshing. They've got Rondon not moving for balls, not even being able to ability to head the ball.
I would actually argue that Rondon had one of the worst striking performances I've seen at the club for a very, very long time. He offered nothing. He doesn't jump to any ball. He doesn't try and win it. And his pace is shocking. He is so slow. He can just get outpaced by any single player on the pitch.
Dave Weston's just exposed Ryan's secret.
It wasn't actually that, but I'll let you have that. It's quite funny. What were you talking about then? Because I didn't grasp any of that. Sorry,
I'm just saying
unfortunately.
that we're not blooding the youngsters. I don't get why we've got an academy there.
Not good enough. That's why.
No, but okay, well, better than the shape that was on the pitch, better than the Wobie, better than Rondon.
The Wobie thing baffles me. I really do. I want to say something about this. I mean, he comes in off the bench, and when the game's a little bit open up and he's got space and time, and the opposition is tired, he seems quite useful. He seems to play a couple of decent passes and move into decent position. But when he starts the games, he's played a lot kind of like a second striker. Well, he doesn't score any goals.
No.
He doesn't actually assist anything. It's almost like he's walking around with his hands like up his sleeve like this. And he's just like, I'm JJ Koch's uncle. Well, I'm JJ Koch's nephew, so I can play. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think he's there really because we haven't got anyone else. And he's not a natural left-sided player because he doesn't have the pace. He doesn't beat anyone. He doesn't outstrength anyone. He doesn't have any skill to get past someone. His left foot's awful. He's a one-trick pony. And then if you put him in the middle, yeah, he might get an opportunity to score, but he fluffs them. Yeah. You know, he doesn't anticipate where the ball's going to land. He hasn't got the conviction. So for me, Iwobi is a waste of space. It'd be one of the first players I'd get rid of. Maybe 12 million, you could sell him to someone. But who would take him? I mean, he wouldn't go to Burnley because he doesn't dig in and do the hard work. He's not good enough for a Villa or one of them. So it's another player you get left with, and you think, can I develop him? Well, no. He's never going to be a player that's got that kind of striker's instinct. You can't coach that. It's natural.
How long has he got left on his contract?
I think he's another 2 years on top of this season. So, you know, you're talking about. You're talking about. Someone said to me today, actually, we lacked a number 10, a real number 10. And do you think someone like Sigurdsson or James, or in that position, maybe more of a natural player in that hole, would have helped us today with the transition? Or do you think it was just a case of we only had that one trick and it was get the ball wide, as you said, John, and cross it in, and there's no one there? And when there is someone there, they're miles behind. That basically was Everton's tactic, really.
Yeah, but it's about having the pace, isn't it? It's about having the pace and getting the knowledge, the skill, which our players don't, to move into the right places.
The options we have, the best way we move forward is either with a number 10 who sends the ball forward in a creative way, and then someone like Richarlison can get through the middle, use pace and strength, and get through and finish like a one-on-one scenario. Alternatively, we can have wingers who are running forward, as you've seen with like Gray and Townsend, who have brought quite a lot of pace and creativity in. But then you need someone in the middle to be able to finish it. And without Calvert-Lewin used to be on there in the middle, being able to like fling his head on, get headers, or flick it in, and he does well. But without either of those two players or the number 10, we are so lacking going forward, and we can't create chances. And when we do, we've got Iwobi on the end of it, ready to fluff it for us. So we can't even finish the chances we get.
This is what Tommy says about Gray. He says, where was Gray? Well, for me, I think he had a quieter game. He was really well marked by West Ham, but for what I saw of him when he did get the ball and he had a bit of space, the ball's glued to him a lot more than it is to the other players. He's running past people. He's moving the ball. He's just the best player on in an Everton shirt. And
I think in
fairness, problem is, he's too good for us.
You can't have him, as much as you want. Players aren't going to perform all the time, 100%. It's just not going to happen.
It wasn't bad. But,
no, I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying he wasn't 100%. That's all I'm saying.
But what John's saying is that we lack that player in the middle to finish it off. We lack just a presence even to shift and to move them around. The Richarlison really would be great at that.
Moyes has been scouting, hasn't he? And you know what? He's outmarked. Gray. He's got people on him.
He had chance though. Gray, he had a few really good crossing opportunities in. It's just what you're talking about, the lack of end product.
No skills, no talent to get that in. And again,
is he just too quick and too good to be playing with these players right now? The ones that are on the pitch.
On the pitch, yeah, but not DCLs, not the likes of not
Richarlisons
who have got the football and brains that we need. Absolutely, Gray's got it in abundance. Townsend's got it. Absolutely.
I've got no doubt we win that game if Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin are up front. Those two are in the wings. Gray is a left winger for me. Townsend on the right.
Yeah, but you can't play a team with 4 or 5 people on the pitch. You need all 11 functioning and moving on all cylinders. And when you've got players like Iwobi or Rondon, where it's literally taking players out the equation. And if anything, right, they're doing more for West Ham than they are for us.
You are right, absolutely. And you know what? As from the lead to the comment, there's a comment before. We played like 9 men today on the pitch. Well, we need 11. That's why I was saying we'll get Dobbin in, bring on Gordon. Why aren't we blooding these youngsters?
And why are we waiting until the 78th minute to make a change when clearly nothing is going our way? That was poor from Rafa.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
So on this comment that I make, I mean, we talked about a goal being a bit of a farce overall. Everton really huffed and puffed for the rest of that second half. Didn't have any answers. Didn't look like scoring really after that goal. Do you think when Everton rely on their defence having to play out from the back because the midfield's pushed on and the wingers are pushed up really high, there isn't really the ball playing centre half. There isn't really the distribution at the back. Even Lucas, bless him, he's not looking sharp really. I thought Jameis played well, in fairness to him, but they huffed and puffed, and we didn't really look like creating a chance there at the end. Arguably, could say Rondon actually turned up a little bit more and tried to make something happen, but never really looked like scoring when they brought an extra defender on. Would you say?
I feel like our mentality is very slow backwards. For example, we had a corner, and I think with 2 touches, it ended up back with Pickford. So they crossed the ball to the edge of the box, turned around, and it went all the way back. And if you're doing that when we're losing, then what chance do we have of actually going forward and scoring?
That happened time and time again, didn't it? With Pickford, poor distribution out to someone who was...
Yeah.
It was telegraphed, and you're just thinking...
And then
where's your brain?
I think there's a few times where, no one was passing to Coleman and he was free to run down the flanks. We don't run the centre. I'm like...
Your 33-year-old Irish fullback's your best player, coming back from injury after several weeks. It says a lot,
still
really.
Outperform most people on the pitch, though.
And then some people weren't passing to him. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You could see the flank was empty. Run down, put that pressure on, cross it in. Want you to sit down there, but no.
But they knew we were lacking in the centre because we're missing 2 main central strikers. So they covered the wings well, and we couldn't do anything. And when we do, then they covered us. And so some of the balls that we ended up losing.
How'd you combat that with the personnel? Do you push Decore on a little bit more?
I think Decore is probably the best player we have. He covers every single place on the pitch. If we're defending, he's back. If we're going forward, he's up there forward. And he's quick. He's got strength. And I think he's an extremely good player. We need people moving with him, though. He can't run up there and be on his own because we haven't got the people going forward.
John, I mean, that's a really good point, isn't it? And Mavs, come in on this. You push Decore forward, you relinquish his defensive duties a little bit there, and just say, go and get in the box, go and support, because Iwobi wasn't cutting it as the second striker. Gray was outmarked there, and he was better on the wing. He didn't have his best game, as you say, but he was still the brightest of a bad bunch. And bring in maybe difficult with Andre Gomez not being available, and I think he's the natural player who could come in there maybe and help tick things along a bit better. But maybe Davis, perhaps, just to allow Decore to provide that threat. Because
was Mina injured? Because I saw him running up and down on the touchline.
No,
so I didn't know if he was coming on.
He just came back yesterday very late, so he was never by. Yeah,
never mind.
I just chucked him on up front.
Yeah, because he's scored. He's scored goals. He's created chances. He's got assists. He gets back and defends as well. He covers every position.
And again, this is what I don't get is, if you're not fit, why are you on the bench? Why are you taking up vital fucking spaces on the bench?
Because we haven't got anyone else to put on the bench. We've got no squad depth.
True, that's true. Point. But I think it's just been another frustrating day at the park, and
Let's bring in a comment from a West Ham fan, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Hi Matthew. He's I don't know whether you subscribe to us, Matthew, but if you haven't, click that subscribe button. Not expecting you to put notifications on, but be nice, help us out here. It was an enjoyable game today. Both teams were poor in the final third. We just had a bit more quality. I think that's fair. I mean, because we were saying that West Ham were better, but they weren't ripping us apart and getting through. I think we marshaled Antonio really well. I think we defended down the flanks well. I think where we were weak was defending the set plays. Yeah. I think we were weak defending the counter-attack, but I thought we were solid, and it was just a little bit of that final touch that West Ham had. I think the thing, Matthew, is you had more of a balanced side today, and we think if Everton had had the 2 strikers up top, we would have at least got a point for sure. I've no doubt. They're better defending that front post than Godfrey and Rondon, them two.
I don't think we were too poor.
Really, though, Matthew. What do you think of Everton moving forward? Do you think they were a disappointment today? And let us know more of your comments. We appreciate it. What were you saying, John?
I don't think we were too poor defending set pieces, because it was the one corner that went in, and we just shut down on that specific corner. But I think in general, we actually defended fairly well. We marked Antonio well, even though he spent about 99% of the game on the floor.
On the floor, yeah.
That was ridiculous. If the referee has booked him that early on for diving in the first half, there were worse dives in the second where they were on the floor. So if you're booking him for the first time, then you should be booking him again.
He's losing. He lost control of that game. Quite pure and simple. Yeah. Lost control of it and wasn't coming back from it.
The referee,
Can I ask you about this statement here as well now? I agree about the ref. I thought he was abysmal. Giving corners that weren't. Rafa outclassed by Moyes. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I think Moyes is a very strict manager. He's done his homework on us. He knows the club inside out. Let's not beat around the bush. Yeah, I think he knew what we were with the game that we were playing, and he knew exactly how to play it. One
thing I did notice really early was, before I get your answer, John, on that, was that Pickford likes to play that ball out to Dean on the left, doesn't he? Straight away, the kicked sort of. Looks a difficult pass, but he does it really well. And they had someone on him straight away, and they stopped that kind of out ball. And it looked like they did do some good research on us. And you said, John, they shepherded us out to the wings a lot, and because they knew we had nothing down the middle. And we talked about potentially moving Doucouré further up to try and help support the striker. But Rafa, he didn't seem to have the answers with who he had available. Do you think it's a case of giving him more time, a few transfer windows?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not starting saying like Benitez out and everything. He's a very good manager and he knows what he's doing. However, this game, he's definitely missed a trick. The reason you go into a game with a plan A, but it doesn't stop there. You're supposed to have a plan B, C, and D in case things don't go your way. As soon as you go 1-0 down, or as soon as you see things aren't working out, you need to make changes. I don't know why we waited until the 78th minute to make a change. We were so poor in the first half.
What to do though? There wasn't the options there. You're talking about Lewis Dobbin. It's a big risk, really.
Why is it a risk, though, right? Because Rondo's not performing. Why is it a risk?
So you put him on central striker?
Well, yeah, you
don't know. I just think we were so exposed from the set pieces as well. Tommy agrees with you, but you know, were we so exposed? Do we need another 5'9", 5'8" player coming on the pitch when we were really struggling to get a grip off the set piece?
We didn't have anyone taller, but. Okay, well, that's fine.
You're 6'4", aren't you, Mabs? We get you on.
Yeah, get me on top.
Get us three up top.
Imagine, but Rondo's not offering anything to the game. He's a dead weight. And I'm not, and again, I keep saying, coming back to this point, is I am not saying Rondo it would have changed the game. I don't know, but it would have been better than what we had on the pitch.
I would have preferred to have anyone else on the pitch other than Rondon. Rondon offered absolutely nothing. So why not give one of the youngsters a chance or to do something? Give them a bit of creativity. Well, he's never there. Injured. Yeah.
He was on the bench today. How fit is he? No one knows.
Well, he could have been the option to bring on and push Doucouré forward. Dave, hit the thumbs up, Dave, on Facebook. Hit the like button. And you too, Tommy. Dave saying, do you know what's happening to Dean? He's been woeful this season. What do you think? Do you think he's maybe lost a yard of pace? I mean, I hate to say this, but it's not. I
still really think he had an okay performance. He was trying to work it around. And obviously, West Ham just knew what they were doing and covering us. But there were definitely worse people on the pitch this game. Yeah.
Good man, Tommy. Hit that like button. Let's move. Can we just get this comment from Matthew again, the West Ham fan? He's saying Everton, when there were two forwards, are a different animal. Agreed. They have a bit more prowess. I think we need squad depth. You'll finish top 10. I mean, it's a little bit humiliating, isn't it? I mean, no offense, Matthew. Thanks for coming on. It's a little bit humiliating when you hear a West Ham who haven't really done an awful lot and been up and down that kind of say, Everton will be lucky to finish top 10. It's a little bit sickening, really, isn't it? The thought of that.
You know what though, he's being realistic, and I think he's being objective. If I'm being brutally honest, so you're right. Sorry, I've got a little feeling.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's sad that we're in this position.
It's sad. Of course, it is sad. But at the end of the day, we've not had a chance to spend anything this window, and then it looks like again we were promised in January we could spend after Rodriguez, and now it turns out well essentially we can't. You know, we spent 1.7 million in this transfer window, so and I think we've outperformed where we need to be. And you know what, I'm not bringing out. I am sounding like I'm bringing out the excuses, but again, we haven't got DCL, we haven't got Richarlison. So, it's a different contemplation, but you've got to hopefully they come back and then they turn it around.
You say that though, but we do have moments of brilliance. I can't remember was it Norwich where we had one of the best moments of football I've seen for Everton, and it was Decore, Gray, and Townsend, and they had the most beautiful run with them three. And you don't need Richarlison, and you don't need Calvert-Lewin to get that goal.
You don't to get that goal, but that's the point. But you need them to get other goals like today.
Of course you do, but as in we have moments of brilliance. We lack the consistency, and I think it's a big mental game as well. West Ham were singing questionable things, but they were making noise for the whole 90. I genuinely, apart from like Everton, I don't think we sang any other song, and we're just missing the atmosphere and getting behind the players.
There was nothing all game. No,
and again,
nothing whatsoever.
I know, and I keep going back to Iwobi, but I feel like no one, on the pitch or in the stands, actually trust him to do anything. And instantly, as soon as he makes the mistakes, instead of like clapping and like trying to get him back in, it's all like screaming and booing. But I'm sure it takes a toll on a player, and we're not actually using our voice to get behind our team. And I'm sure, again, that's a big factor.
I noticed that Andy Burnham was at the game. He was coming out through the Gladys Street sort of stand, and you could hear he was very distinctive. He had it was almost like a few bodyguards around him, a few, maybe his son and a few people, but it was quite amusing because he was the loudest voice, very distinctive, and he was just talking. He was just quite fed up. And that actually was a function last night, and Joe Anderson was there hiding in the corner with his wife. Not sure what he's up to these days, but I wonder what he would have said if you could have a really frank and distinct conversation with him about Everton Football Club and what he thought about Bill Kenwright and what's going on in terms of recruitment and the finances. Unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity to speak to him, and I'm not sure it would have been too appropriate since I was working, but it would have been something I would have really enjoyed to do. We've got some more comments. We're going to go through these. We're going to wrap up shortly. I know if you're just joining us, you're listening to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, your host. I'm here with Mabsy, and we've got John, who hasn't been on the show since June, but it's lovely to have him back on, and we'll make sure we'll drag him on next weekend as well as we can. Dave Weston saying the lack of movement from the front players is shocking. Do you think this is a good point? But I noticed like Alan's distribution in there today, and just a general poor distribution, and the movement wasn't there, but the passes were often played when they weren't on. They were also arguing with each other a fair bit. Did you notice that they were getting frustrated? And
Coleman was shouting at every single player when things weren't going right, and he was telling people, you're not in the right position, you need to move more, create the movement, because if you're standing still, the players are just going to block the passing lines and cut them off.
That's his leadership his leadership skills shown right through there, isn't it, though?
And also our progression up the pitch is so slow, and again, I know we're lacking the pace, but instead of the quick movements like 1-2 touch football, we're holding the ball up, taking a few touches, turning around, looking to see what's on, by which point they've already got 11 men behind the ball. So we need to take our opportunities, move quickly.
They had balance though, John. They really did. They'd never overcommitted, I felt they didn't really overcommit.
And we were left in the shit. But we need to be able to move quicker and get the ball up the pitch. So instead of doing a 2-on-7, it'll be like a 2-on-2, and we can actually make some progress.
I think you're spot on. We really didn't have the numbers in the box at times. I felt like the ball was coming in and we were maybe just had one or two players. And if you look at Everton earlier in the season, we get 4 or 5, even 6 in and around that box. So we were really struggling. And you think, we've touched on it so many times, but Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin would be in there, potentially
that's
one
the
of the wingers.
Even if it's not Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison in the box, it's the presence in the box which makes defenders nervous and on edge, and you're more likely to see mistakes. Whereas if you're not committing anyone forward, they can sit back and relax.
Was Decore too worried maybe about Rice and Souček that he couldn't kind of get forward into the box? And
I think Decore still played well and he was getting forward, but he hasn't got the support or people with him. And obviously, the further he commits forward, the more we're going to be exposed at the back, because he's a big presence at the back. So he needs to find that balance, which I thought he did quite well. But we haven't got the
us if he gets injured.
Players. We are screwed. Hello, Championship.
No,
very quickly, because we need to. I hope Newcastle go down, by the way. Very quickly, Tommy Jones is saying, what's wrong with DCL? Yeah, I don't really know. It's sort of an innocuous injury.
I don't know.
He had 2 injuries, didn't he, at once?
Well, I think it was the broken toe from from I think the beginning of the season's been played on it. Just a quick update: Spurs are winning 3-1 against Newcastle, so good stuff.
Okay, just hope Newcastle. I mean, we don't really want Spurs to be winning games, but just because it's Newcastle, we'll let you off.
Yeah,
we've had such an opportunity to progress up the table, and I know it's still early, but every point counts. And if you look at the results from this weekend, this was really our chance to push forward, where all the teams around us have lost or dropped points. And then we've gone and done the same thing. And I think it's a big mental game where we're just lacking
that's just Everton, though. Fucking Everton behave it all the time. When we have a chance to capitalise, we do that. That's what we do.
I know, but that's where we're going wrong. And we need to change this because this negative stigma of how we're always going to... I mean, we don't even have like trophy opportunities to bottle. But all these little moments, we do bottle and we can't progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't go throughout the whole season with... being injury free. It's just not possible, really.
Since Moyes left, I feel like every season is the same. We start off strong, we have moments of brilliance, and we're like, oh, this is going to be positive, we can move well. And then we get these little setbacks where we're losing against teams that should be absolutely dominating, and it should be like a masterclass of a show. And then we just get set back, and then all our momentum from the previous few games has been lost, and we have to start again. And then we'll end up, it'll be with like 10 games left to go. And we'll be like, well, we're out of all the cups. Our season's over. What can we do? Let's just wait till next season. And I feel like that's repeated for years on end.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to watch.
This is a fair point, really. This is what we touched on. They're never overcommitted. They're well balanced. And we did get opportunities against you, bear in mind, Matthew. I just think we didn't have that finishing touch, really. Moving forward, I want to get your final statements on the West Ham game. And then I just want to very briefly touch ahead at Watford. You got anything to say? Anything else you want to cover for?
I think we've covered it, to be fair. But yeah, I bit of a random cat there. I just think that we need to have...
It's got a blue collar, though. Let me show you.
No, absolutely. Great.
Everton. That's an Everton cat.
Yeah, so I just think we need to get some... it's going to be loans, isn't it, in January? That's all we're going to get.
Barkley's on loan. Barkley coming in on loan. That's what I've been told.
Probably.
No, genuinely, I've been told Barkley on loan.
Really?
It's already done, yeah. Already done.
No.
Already at Everton.
Wow. Don't know what to say to that, if that's true. Okay. That's a bit... But, yeah.
We've lost Mabsy just in time. We didn't want to hear that. The Watford game, though.
The thing is, he's got to come
he's here. Oh, is he here?
No,
is he there?
I'm here.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's back.
No, yeah, I'm here.
Are you there, mate?
Right. Yeah,
can you hear yourself or me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You were there? Okay.
Can
I ask you about Watford?
Right, what? We need... It's a must-win game. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Signal's not doing well. We're wrapping up very... Thanks, Matthew, for subscribing. I appreciate it. You don't have to have notifications on. I'm not expecting that, but help us with the numbers. We need to get to 400 subs. And so if you're watching this back, hit that subscribe button for us, please. Help us get up to 400. The Watford game, I'm going to ask John just because Mabsy looks like he's coming in and out of picture. Oh, yeah, you're all fuzzy. I don't know what's going on with you, Mabs.
It's a bloody half-meg connections.
Oh, no, you're back. It looks good. Okay. You're back, yeah. John, Watford, you're gonna come. You're gonna go the game.
I want to, but if we see the same performance as we just did, I probably won't be going back many more times this season. But
don't be one of them.
Watford is a must-win game. That's bottom line. Like, we need to show some brilliance, get the momentum back. We need the fans to start singing and get behind our players. And we need to change the atmosphere around the ground. The
Saturday at 3 o'clock will really help, won't it? And I think Everton have got to bounce back now. And I think Richarlison, get him in the team. He loves scoring against Watford. Calvert-Lewin, get him back in to get on the end of some of Damari Gray and Townsend crosses. I think Everton should see a convincing home win.
There shouldn't even be a question about us losing or dropping points against them. It needs to be a win. Like,
they lost 5-0 at home, so against Bobby Firmino, who doesn't score. So, if he's doing it, we've got to be putting a better performance out.
Well, hopefully DCL is back, or Richarlison's back, or both of them's back, and
Unless
Just fingers
Ferdinand
crossed.
comes out of retirement and
One of
can
them.
stick him up front.
Get
for a
me on the
couple.
pitch. I'll run circles around Salomon Rondon. Easy peasy. Get me up top.
It's a shame you can't jump like a salmon. Guys, thanks for watching. If you've been joining us and you're new to the channel, this is Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, your host. I'm on most of the videos. And we got Mabsy and John also with us today, who were at Goodison Park to witness Everton's dismal and embarrassing home defeat to the Hammers, who are now laughing all the way back to London because David Moyes, former Everton manager, has outclassed the Spanish waiter and Everton coach Rafa Benitez. So we're now looking forward to Watford, who turn to Goodison on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. Hopefully some returning injuries and no more injuries, except to Rondon, who we hope gets a 6-game ban for that stamp on Souček, which seems to have gone unnoticed. John, thanks for joining us on this video. I hope to see you again very, very soon. And let me know if you do need a ticket for Watford. I have a ticket, I think. Mabsy, thanks. It was a pleasure to be in your company for the past hour and also on the car journey home, squeezed in the back of my dad's BMW.
It's in the top balcony, so I wouldn't get that excited.
Well, further away from the action,
good
you
for
know,
you.
it might not be such a bad thing.
You don't feel so bad. He's gone. Okay, his battery's
you,
gone.
Mabsy.
John, see you soon. Thanks, mate.
Thank
Send
you
me a
very
message.
much.
Thanks for
Will
coming
do.
on.
Take
Pleasure.
care.
Very good content. Bye now.